In a remote Singapore lockup lies a unique collection of ancient Chinese treasures.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Unseen for nearly half a century, these bronzes have been shuttered in darkness. Until now.
The artistry is fantastic, technically so sharp.
This is one man's mission to discover if his collection is one of the region's most spectacular finds.
My God, I think he knows the truth, but he don't want to tell the truth.
Or its greatest ever hoax.
They all could be fakes. That is my greatest fear.
It's your morning fix on 938 now, coming up to 6 minutes past 9 a.m.
Yes, indeed. Everyone's favorite economist, Dr. Tan Kiwi, in the house.
The situation is this. China has 375 billion surplus. Right. That's a lot of money, okay? That's like $65.
Dr. Tan Kiwi is one of Singapore's leading economists and an expert on wealth management.
Like I said, it's a reserve, something you should have as an insurance.
Okay.
I mean, you don't stop paying insurance if you're healthy, right? You just keep your insurance. Sell petrol.
But he also holds a deep secret. Because Kiwi owns a very unusual legacy that he inherited from his father. Tan Chi Kao was born in a village near Fuzhou, China, and grew up to become a successful businessman. He made his home in Singapore and had 8 children. Kiwi was the last-born son. When his father passed away, Kiwi became the sole heir to a vast collection of antiques. He was told they were from ancient China and that their survival depended on a stroke of luck. Because Tan Chi Kao rescued them from almost certain destruction.
He was in China during the Cultural Revolution. This was during the 66-77 period. And they were actually destroying things. So he happened to come across some raid guards who were trying to dispose them. So he bought them over sometime in early 1971.
Tan Chi Kao shipped the collection over to Singapore, where they've remained locked up ever since.
Hi, Kiwi. Good to see you again. I'm here to see these bronzes. You told me all about them.
You must come. You must come and have a look.
This year, Kiwi turned 60.
This is so exciting, Kiwi.
He spent a lifetime trying to discover if his father's story was true,
See this.
but with no success. Now he wants to know the truth. Is his collection authentic? And can he unravel some long-held secrets from the past?
I can't wait. Is this it?
Is it? Wow. Pick up my keys.
Okay.
Joining him on this mission is investigative reporter Don Tan.
Okay, brace yourself. Here we are.
Wow. This is amazing. Wow. Trove of treasures, Kiwi. This room is full of them.
There are supposed to be 2 drums from the Shang period recorded.
The design is so intricate. You can see how fine these lines are all over the body. That's beautiful. I feel like I've seen this piece, though, in a museum in the UK.
Yes, I think the British Museum has a similar one, except that they don't have a cover, whereas I have a cover here.
You know, it's the diversity of all the pieces that gets me.
Kiwi believes his collection originates from China's Shang and Zhou dynasties. That would date some pieces to over 3,000 years old.
We're just looking at rows and rows and rows of bronzes here. Owls, birds, tigers, hyenas, elephants, you name it, it's in here.
They've been here about 40, 50 years, but I don't think they'll last another 3,000 years in this condition, because Singapore is humid. Yeah, but it's okay here, it's relatively dry.
Oh, they're safe here for now.
Yeah, for the time being, yeah.
These bronzes have been hidden away for decades.
In Xi'an, they're actually made of gold and silver, but mine certainly are not gold and silver.
So why have they been out of sight for so long?
Collection of ancient bronzes, potentially.
This is my dad in the 90s. That was a few years before he passed away. He was traveling to Australia.
He traveled a lot.
Yeah, he loves to travel. So did my mom. Yeah.
How did your father come about acquiring such a massive collection, really? When did you inherit these pieces?
He was in China during the late 60s and early 70s. That was during the Cultural Revolution. That was a time when they felt that all things were bad. Artworks, books, everything were destroyed. So he came across a cartload of such artifacts, and the Red Guards were about to ferry them off to destroy them. So, I mean, he was also partly a scrap metal dealer at that time. So he saw the opportunity to take it and ship them and brought back to Singapore. Yeah.
Before he died, Kiwi, did your father ever bring up the bronzes again to you? Did he mention them? Or was it just something that he forgot about?
No, I think it meant nothing to him except that it's possible that it could be artwork. But he left them in the factory, one corner of the factory. So it's been there ever since.
According to Kiwi, his father transported the bronzes to Singapore in 1971. But without any records, the only body of evidence is the collection itself. Singapore's leading archaeologist, Professor John Miksic, is examining the collection for the first time.
Well, it's exhilarating if these are legitimate and genuine. There's nothing I see here that turns me off. I can't say that they're genuine. What I can say is I don't see any reason to reject them out of hand as possibly being exactly what they purport to be. The depth and the width of the lines, they appear to be genuine. And the decoration on these pieces is extremely fine. And there's a lot of really detailed work which doesn't seem like it's normally worthwhile for the forgers to even attempt to do.
After this initial inspection, what other clues can these sculptures reveal? Laser scanning specialists have begun work, creating virtual copies of key pieces.
Because of the advancement for the past 10 years, 3D scanning has leapt and bound. Laser scanners capture information by using light source. So it's emitting a kind of special light array, and then the data is being bounced back, and then it's done.
This laser technology uses millions of measure points across the surface of each bronze. The software then creates a digital model of each scan.
Laser scanner today could probably scan as fine as your hair. That kind of resolution we are talking about. Say enough overlap.
This is good.
Okay.
Despite the accuracy of this technology, Kiwi's bronzes indicate signs of decay. This decomposition is interfering with the scanning.
We seem to find slightly more challenging to scan this bronze, maybe because of the rust, the oxidization that is going on, and some of the surfaces that we see are pretty bland. It's just flat. But then at the point of scan, it becomes very visible that there's many patterns that goes onto that surface. So it's refreshing, and it's a nice discovery that the 3D scanner can pick up a lot more details than what we can see with our eyes.
Before Dawn can draw conclusions about the collection's authenticity, she wants to know more about the Shang and Zhou dynasties. But her planned fact-finding trip to China with Kiwi has already hit a roadblock.
So Kiwi, I've been doing my research on bronzes and I've got some glaring concerns. So many of your bronzes look like national treasures from China. China takes this whole topic really seriously. It's such a sensitive issue. That gives me cause for concern. And particularly about you going to China at all with me to continue this journey.
Well, I understand your concerns. I appreciate your sharing with me.
I just don't know what to expect. I think I'm going to have to carry on this journey by myself.
Well, I'm disappointed. I sort of fear this. This has been in the back of my mind for a long time. Well, I hope that you go there and come back with some more news about the bronzes for me, and hopefully learn some more.
So Dawn must travel to China on her own, and there she will uncover some alarming evidence.
这个问题我觉得非常的怪异，这就像今天有人跟我们讲，太阳从西边出来一样，绝对不可能。
Investigative reporter Don Tan is traveling to China, armed with just 2 clues. Kiwi's bronze collection was purchased during the Cultural Revolution, and they likely hail from the Shang and Zhou dynasties.
The Shang and Zhou dynasty are very important because they are the first dynasties in which we have actual records, written records of the people who were rulers, how they worked, and order in society.
Beginning from the Shang dynasty in 1600 BC, this era marked a high point in bronze artistry.
This is Hezun. It's
Beautiful.
amazing.
This is one of the centerpieces at the museum. What makes it so special?
In this bottom, we found a piece of inscription. And it told us in the early Western Zhou dynasty, the emperor of Zhou made a big decision to build a new capital. So it tells us of a history book is right. So it's very important.
是中国青铜器文明的高峰，在前边它没有那么好的技术水平，所以还没达到这个，达到这个就是最精彩的。
Originally used for weapons and ritual vessels, bronze was synonymous with great power.
中国古代的青铜器不是作为一般的器物来对待，它是作为一个国家政权或者一个王朝的象征，共同象征还有代表的级别、代表的权威、代表的国家、代表的政治。
The first stop on Dawn's journey is Baoji City. Located in the Shanxi province, this region is home to the Zhou dynasty, and it's widely considered as the birthplace of Chinese civilization. A recent archaeological discovery has added to our knowledge of bronzeware. In 2012, a cluster of noble tombs dating to 3,000 years ago was uncovered in Xigushan. Inside these burials were individual niches packed with bronze treasures. Archaeologist Hao Mingke led this landmark excavation.
A tomb containing bronzes was found in this area. Can you tell me how it was found?
我们现在在的地方，就是2012年当地的村民在建贼基地的时候，发现了这个墓葬。
But how do villagers know to call the authorities when they find bronzes? Why don't they just take them home?
从小学生开始就讲保护文物的有关知识， 因为这个文物是反映一个地区，更重要是反映人类精神文明的珍贵的实物。
What exactly was found?
在宝鸡地区发现了规模比较大的一组西周早期的古墓葬，大概出土了有170余件文物，大量的礼器和兵器，特别是出土的铜镜，是到目前为止科学发现的第一次，在全世界仅存的5件之一。
So it turned out to be an incredible find, but how common is it for people to come across such a tomb like this?
这次发现纯是偶然，在我从事20多年的考古生涯中，也是首例，也是非常幸运的。咱们这次发掘，对于一个文物考古工作者来说，是千载难逢的幸事。
The bronzes excavated in Xigushan were in poor condition, so each piece went through a complex restoration process. Here at Xi'an's Archaeological Institute, scientists undertake this intense repair work.
Professor Shao.
Hi.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
One such specialist is conservation expert Dr. Shao Anding.
These pieces must be over 2,000 years old.
Yes. We got nearly 100 such kind of bronze vessels on 2 tombs. And the Zhou dynasty replaced the Shang dynasty at this time, so this group object was important to get how to separate Shang objects and Zhou objects.
They're absolutely exquisite pieces. Could you show me the kind of restoring that these bronzes go through?
Okay, we can see one example here. Here is the leg of the thin vessels. For this object, currently we just restoring the legs here, because when the thin vessel was excavated, the legs, this part and that part and this part was missing. So we have to restore it, because when the object go to the excavation case, it will stand there stable, very stable. And another thing is let the visitors to know the shape of the whole leg or foot. Yeah.
Despite weathering many storms, China's cultural heritage has thrived for thousands of years. But the worst damage came during the 20th century. It was guided by one man, Mao Zedong.
Mao Zedong was greatly respected by his people because he had led a successful revolution. And during that time, he'd ensured that China was united. But I think in his old age, he became very erratic about what he wanted. And he was very willful. He wanted his way.
(1966) marked a violent time for China. It was the start of the Cultural Revolution.
The Cultural Revolution was an iconoclastic time. All of China's old culture, old customs, its cultural artifacts were supposed to be destroyed or at the very least put away out of sight to emphasize that China needed to renew itself.
Many cultural artifacts were destroyed. Private homes were plundered, and an annihilation of traditions began. One man who bore witness to this devastation was Wu Jiangguo. Today, Mr. Wu runs a cultural museum in the village of Lijiashezi. But at the age of 14, he enlisted as a Red Guard.
坐，请坐，请坐。
谢谢。 Mr. Wu, how did you become a Red Guard during the Cultural Revolution?
当年我的年龄是14岁、15岁。从我们的人生来说，我们对那些东西并不懂。为了响应毛主席的号召，是因为成天去抄别人的家。文化革命已经过去了50多年，当我们今天回忆过去的时候，我们有很多遗憾。
Did you ever hear of Red Guards destroying anything else? Cultural artifacts like bronzes, were they destroyed too?
文革期间，有一些青铜器肯定遭到毁坏，但大部分的青铜器要么在地下，要么在博物馆，这是一个。所以呢，在那个时候出现大量的这个青铜器被红卫兵抄家，或者被红卫兵去卖给那个回收站是不可能的，这是绝对不可能的。现在国家出现3件2件青铜器都非常重视。
What I hear you say, Mr. Wu, is that for Red Guards to have even had access to bronzes would likely have been impossible.
你应该知道，青铜器的价值从古到今是非常昂贵的，能够收藏的都是大户人家、高官厚禄、军阀这些高级官员，一般的银世家，包括祭祖、富农，一般的平民不可能见到。
In your opinion, if someone were to tell me that they had purchased such a bronze collection from Red Guards in 1971, would they have been lying to me?
这个问题我觉得非常的怪异，我觉得不可能。如果说有一个红兵敢把那么多的青铜器卖给一个外国人，还能走出国境，这就像今天有人跟我们讲太阳从西边出来一样，绝对不可能。
I met a former Red Guard.
Yes.
And this is an individual who was part of the Cultural Revolution. He says he doesn't believe that Red Guards, they wouldn't necessarily have had the dare to actually take such a collection without recording it, writing it down.
He's not telling the full truth, the full picture. I mean, you look at all interviews of Red Guards, no one has come out and said that I was involved. What they come out and say, yeah, I heard of people who was involved, I saw people who was involved. So I think he's sort of taking the same line. That's expected, I mean.
Mr. Wu just doesn't believe that Red Guards would have been motivated either for money or to gain anything by taking on such a risk. It would have just been too risky for them.
Well, I mean, I really can't comment on what his experience, because I didn't live through those turbulent times.
I came to China to look for some answers, but in many ways this trip has thrown up more questions than answers for me. Nevertheless, I do think that there is room for doubt. There's more to learn.
Back in Singapore, Dawn's investigation continues. The Red Guard has cast serious doubt on Kiwi's story, so it's time to reach out for expert advice. Christian Dedier is a world-renowned Chinese art dealer. Can he shed new light on Dawn's search? Dawn has returned from China, where she discovered the cultural importance of bronzes. But the trip also questioned the legitimacy of Kiwi's story. To get a fresh perspective on this unusual collection, the next step in this investigation is London.
One Colville Road, please.
Sure.
Kiwi, we're going to meet Lazarus at Chiswick Auctions right now. I'm hoping he can tell us something more about Chinese bronzes and the art market.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Kiwi's bronzes are potentially worth a fortune. But can the team get an indication of their true value? Their first stop is antiques dealer Lazarus Halstead.
Lazarus,
Oh, hi.
good to meet you.
Nice
This
to
is
meet you.
Kiwi.
Hi, Kiwi.
What is the price range that we're seeing when it comes to what bronzes can go for at auction?
For the early bronzes, probably the top prices would be in the tens of millions, and later bronzes have traditionally been much more affordable and relative to other areas such as porcelain. But at the top of the market, you'd probably still be looking at the tens of millions.
Kiwi's inherited these pieces from his father, Lazarus, and we want to get your take on what you think you're seeing here. Maybe you can take a look.
I'd have to say that it's very difficult to make an assessment of a piece based on photographs. But in terms of the form and the details of the pieces, they would look like archaic bronzes.
Could you be looking at something that was valuable?
Any piece of this scale from the Shang and Zhou periods is going to have a value. But in order to sell the pieces, some people may not wish to take things on consignment without having a clear, ironed-out provenance. So that's basically how far back you can trace the piece from its current owner through to when it was first acquired or even when it was first made.
You mentioned that archaic bronzes are very rare. Why is that so?
Well, a lot of these archaic bronzes would have been made in multiples, but you've got to remember that they're 3,000 or 3,500 years old, and so over the course of those years, things will only survive if they've been kept in the correct archaeological conditions. And of course, there will be more pieces which still haven't been excavated. After 3,500 years, what can you really expect to survive?
Thank you. After hearing what Lazarus had to say, Kiwi, that your pieces, if they're real, they could be worth a lot of money. How did that make you feel?
Stunned, because never imagined them to be so expensive.
Do you feel tempted at all to say, hey, I could auction these pieces off?
Yes, definitely, I would be tempted. Because for once I've heard from an expert who has told me that they could be the real McCoy.
What was it that Lazarus said that made you feel more confident about your pieces?
The fact that an expert came and looked at the photographs and thought it was real, I mean, that's good. I mean, that raised my confidence, at least today.
With growing conviction for the collection, Kiwi and Dawn pay a visit to the Victoria and Albert Museum. This museum houses over 2.3 million objects, spanning 5,000 years of human creativity. It also has one of the most comprehensive collections of Chinese art outside of East Asia.
You know, the owl.
You have a piece so similar to that, Kiwi.
Yeah, much bigger, much bigger.
Yeah.
Exploring these bronzes in London is triggering some soul-searching in Kiwi.
What was the intention of my father? Well, I know he wants to save them because he didn't sell any of them. He kept them all these years. So in many ways, I fear for my life because it's considered looted treasures. So the question is, am I guilty of possessing it? Is my father guilty of possessing it? Then I would turn the tables around. Let's say if he had not saved it, then the world would have lost it. Well, initially the monetary value was important, but now it's a historical value.
Whether in museums or private collections, what's clear is the enduring appeal of bronze. The team is journeying into southwest England to learn how this metal has captivated humans from across the ages. One man with a love of bronze is artist and metallurgist Andrew Lacey.
Andrew.
Hello.
Good to see you.
You too, you too.
This is Kiwi. Andrew, you've got a particular interest in Chinese bronzes as well, don't you?
Yeah, Chinese bronzes are so exceptional. I mean, worldwide, I've studied worldwide bronzes. The Chinese, the stylistics, the aesthetics are so brilliant. They're so specific to that culture and that time. They're wonderful things. So, the workspace.
Beautiful.
Do you want to come in and look at the bronzes here?
Andrew uses ancient methods to create even the most basic of bronze casts.
What I've got in front of me are all the materials I need to do the lost wax process. So it's going to be slightly different to the Chinese, but it's been used pan-culturally and all through time, and we're still using it now. So it's fantastic. The thing that I'm going to make is a raven's wing, which is just...
To start the lost wax process, a mold of the bronze is crafted. The wax is painted onto the mold, creating an imprint. A spruce system is then created with a funnel and 2 vents.
Metal's going to flow in there, in through the whole wing, and then just all the gases are going to come out these little vents. So there's a nice circulation system.
Once the spruce system is ready, Andrew paints with layers of ceramic dust.
6, 7, 8, 9 layers until it's strong enough to resist the bronze. And then once every layer is dry, you take it outside and you de-wax it. You remove all the wax.
Once the casting mold is dried, the wax inside must be drained. This allows the casting to hold the molten bronze. Once the bronze is cooled, the mold can be removed from the sand. It's then broken into half, revealing a perfect bronze cast.
Andrew, we've got some pictures of Kiwi's collection, and I want you to take a look and get your thoughts on these.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant. Personally, I think they're astonishing. The artistry is fantastic, but it's that level of playfulness of the forms themselves. But then it's that detail as well, the superfine detail, which is carved both into the surface and also raised slightly out of the surface.
So there's nothing cookie-cutter about this process?
No, there's definitely nothing cookie-cutter about this. You cannot stamp these out. That's one of the things that strikes me with them, is that they are so complex and so well embellished, and the detailing is so fine that it's not something that an average artist or artisan could have made as a kind of reproduction. These have an immense kind of layering and power to them. It's playful, but it's technically so sharp.
Kiwi, do you feel more confident about the authenticity of your pieces?
Definitely. Meeting Andrew was fantastic. Well, you know, I'm not really an artist. When someone says that you have something beautiful, or maybe say your son is smart or something, then you look at your son with different eyes. And that's how I felt then. And the other thing is he described how difficult they were to make them. I mean, that surprised me, and I felt that, wow, well, whoever made them took a lot of pain and effort to do it.
So you've had a significant change of heart. Does that surprise you?
A bit. Because actually I was slightly pessimistic when we began this journey. I thought, well, I'll find another person who will say, oh, they are fakes, which is what I've been hearing all my life, and from my siblings, from everyone telling me to dump them. Definitely after this trip, no. I think it's one step closer to authenticity.
Back in Singapore, Dawn is reaching out to other experts. She wants to start proceedings on a watertight authenticity of Kiwi's bronzes. But after several attempts to contact world-famous art expert Christian Dedier, she finally has a response. And his reply is truly shocking.
He isn't mincing his words. He says, the owner is just lying. It's always the same stupid story. Their grandfather, their father. I'm wasting my time. Clearly, Mr. Dedier thinks that there is something amiss with Kiwi's collection. Before I go any further with this investigation, I'm going to have to get to the bottom of this.
Since returning from the UK, Kiwi has high hopes for his bronze collection. But Dawn's initial contact with art expert Christian Dedier has raised doubts. So she's invited him to view the bronzes up close.
So it will be quite exciting to discover the new pieces. Ah, good, nice security.
But will Kiwi accept his conclusion, whatever that might be?
I'm just so curious to find out what your reaction is going to be when you see this for the first time. Okay, so this is it.
My God, it's horrible. It's worse than I thought.
You think they're all fake?
Oh, not fake, bad reproduction. We can see from far away the corrosion. We don't need to touch them. We don't need to look at them. Those animals are so rare. One buffalo went in auction in New York. He went for $3 million. And the last ram was sold in New York, went for $25 million US. Just in this room, he has 7 pieces of this type, and it's extremely rare. And when he said he bought the collection before 1970, it's impossible. The piece from Shang and Zhou was excavated in 1996. So
it would have been impossible for them to come in 1971?
No.
So just one set of 3 vessels?
3 vessels in the world, and the guy has a copy. It's impossible, and everything is wrong.
So this is the second lockup.
Over at Kiwi's next lockup, Christian's examination goes from bad to worse.
If I was a collector, and if I think it's genuine, I have to jump by the window.
This part looks a brighter green than this part.
Yeah, like if it was painting, and I'm sure it's a mixture of painting and something. You see, you have the dust and a little of green coming, so if we do carefully, all the green will disappear, which is not possible with a patination, a genuine patination. They were really made for something, I don't know why, probably to find a stupid buyer. So it's like the Alibaba cave. It's crazy because he has what nobody has in the world. It's Alibaba, yeah.
Well, if these really are fake, as you say, nobody stopped him from buying them.
No, because a fake, it's to cheat you. This is not fake. It's bad reproduction, very low quality. I'm sorry.
Christian's verdict has been damning. But how will Kiwi take the news?
Come, take a seat.
Thank you very much.
Christian, Kiwi has shared that he doesn't know a great deal about just where these pieces came from, only that his father told him that he bought them in 1971 during China's Cultural Revolution years and brought them back into Singapore.
I think it's totally impossible because when you come back to 1970, first it was impossible to export anything from China, especially antiques.
But okay, just wondering, I mean, this one was bought at...
It's impossible.
Cheap scrap metal.
Yeah, they are cheap, they were sold cheap, but it's impossible they were bought before 1970.
Really?
Yeah. In your case, nothing is possible. Your story, it's not possible. So something is wrong.
No, it's not. Yeah,
So maybe it's a way to protect yourself. For me, it's not your father who bought the pieces. It's you. Yeah. Yeah. It's you, I am sure. You bought them, or you exchange them, or you get them after. So I am sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a nice lie.
Yeah.
It's a nice story.
I mean,
But you know, the only way to prove you are right.
Well,
No.
Yeah.
You have a trace of importation.
No, well, if you want the proof of the date of importation, I've got no.
Not
definitely
proof of
no.
the date, but
no.
I'm sorry, it's not possible. I am sorry to give you a bad news like this,
okay,
but
okay.
it's not genuine.
During this investigation, there have been many expert opinions.
In terms of the form and the details of the pieces, they would look like archaic bronzes.
The artistry is fantastic, technically so sharp.
So it's time to let hard science do the talking. The bronzes are packed for shipment. and Dawn and Kiwi head to Bordeaux in France. The sleepy town of Martillac holds the key to unlocking this mystery. This is Ciron. It's one of the world's leading test sites. Here, the most renowned art dealers, prestigious auction houses, and international museums send their antiques for authentication. Dr. Olivier Bobin, CEO and co-founder of Ciron, is leading the investigation.
So, Olivier, what do you think?
Oh, the patina looks good. So now we have to take small samples from each pieces to observe the stratigraphy of the metal and the patina. The second step will be to analyze the chemical composition of the metal, if it is bronze or if it is not. We have also to analyze the corrosion degree of the bronze. Is this corrosion is natural or is this corrosion is artificial? And at the end of this process, we can conclude about the antiquity or about the modernity of this object.
Okay, so it's time to put these bronzes to the test.
Yes.
One of the key tests is done using an electron microscope with a magnification power of 30,000. This analyzes the chemical composition of Kiwi's bronzes to reveal the balance of elements and alloys.
Olivier, you've taken all the samples that you need for the tests.
Yes.
How long are the results going to take?
Oh, you know, it is a multi-stage analysis. And to analyze totally 5 bronze objects, it will take around 4 weeks.
4 weeks?
Yes, 4 weeks.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to getting those results.
I understand.
It's almost symbolic, Kiwi, being here in the Bordeaux region. It's going to reveal the secrets that your bronzes have had for almost 50 years.
Yes, I feel like I've been through a race, hurdles I've crossed, crossed the ticket line, but I don't know the results yet. You know, you're just exhausted. I suppose in a month's time I'll know, and that would be a day to look forward to.
You're so pragmatic, Kiwi. You know, your face never betrays much emotion. Aren't you nervous at all?
Of course I am, but, well, I don't normally show it. It's just like a duck, you know? It goes smoothly along the water, but if you look underneath, its legs are paddling frantically away. And that's how I feel now. So I'm very thankful to everything that has happened. Let's have a drink to the end of this long journey.
I've gone from extremes with this story. It's been exhilarating. On the one hand, I'm so hopeful for Kiwi, for what he hopes to be the truth, that they're real. But if they're not, I think he has a lot to lose. Whether he'll believe the truth, will he accept the truth? I think he's too emotionally attached to these bronzes.
So the last piece to this puzzle lies with scientists in France. But what will their results be? 4 weeks have passed, and Dawn has Ciron's scientific report. Will decades of uncertainty finally come to an end?
Kiwi.
Hey, good morning.
Hi. They've
Morning.
arrived. I have results.
Oh, take a seat.
Okay, this is yours.
Very nervous, like a student waiting for the exam results.
I'm nervous for you too.
The high concentration of zinc, the presence of aluminum, and numerous inclusions with phosphorus, manganese, and chromium correspond to a metallurgy of the 20th century. Oh. The specific composition of the alloy is a formal evidence of modernity. This cannot absolutely correspond to an ancient manufacture during the Shang or Zhou dynasty. The 5 items have the same composition. This indicates that they have been manufactured at the same modern period. The objects have been chemically etched in order to simulate their antiquity. These 5 objects indicate that they are modern fakes. Well, it's not positive results.
How are you feeling?
Well, they are the experts, so it should be the situation. Well, it's been a long journey, and I think I have some measure of closure, a closure which maybe every art lover seeks, but not everybody finds. And I think I found something, yeah.
Kiwi inherited these bronzes from his father, and for years they remained an unsolved mystery. But today, Kiwi's search for answers has come to a bittersweet end.
Was I disappointed when I got the results? Of course, but I accept it. Most people think I'm crazy. So yes, I have in mind to send slowly all of them to different labs. And if all of them come back and says that they are actually 100 years old, then my confidence will drop to 50 to 0. Then when that day comes, then it is very likely that I want to get rid of them from my life.